It's the Revved Up Sports Show with Bobby Chaffee.
We do have this nice little format that we try to follow every week. We don't usually follow it.
And Rodney Rodriguez.
Entertain me. Tell me something. I need to know something other than what I'm seeing.
Y'all ready? All right, here we go. Here's Bobby and Rodney.
Well, it's that time again, everybody. Hashtag Real Race Talk. And we got lots to talk about, man. Busy weekend. Lots of dirt track racing. And we'll get all of that set up for you. Showtime, Bobby Chaffee over there. Rodney Rodriguez. Bobby. Man, we are really racing now. There's racetracks open everywhere.
There was a lot of stuff from our friends on Race on Texas. I got to watch quite a few laps getting put down at the various dirt tracks across the way. I got to experience some of the normal stuff. It's always weird when you have a cup race on Saturday night. Kind of switches things up. You had races going on in Pensacola that were clusters and
wait,
Wreckfest.
You watch Cup? You watch Cup racing?
I did. Unfortunately, I watched way too much of that boring ass Martinsville race.
Shame on you. What a. I mean, I'm a NASCAR advocate, but that sucked.
It was horrible.
That was
bad. That race was horrible.
That was bad. That was not one of their better exhibitions that we would call it. But yeah. Anyway, Saturday night. I mean, but yeah, lots of short track stuff and lots of good stuff to discuss. I mean, your thoughts overall. I mean, because we're seeing. Here in Texas, man, we're just seeing such a good start to 2022 for all of our racetracks.
Well, the car count's there, which is something you'd like to see, despite the fact that gas is going up really high. You've seen a lot of the local stuff kind of take off and be, the guys that, that you expect to travel and go to different places are really just staying at home. And I think that's helping out a lot of local car counts. Because if you got a car and you want to race it and there's a track pretty close to you, you're going to race at the home track that's closest to you. And we've seen that come into play there at Cotton Bowl. There was a lot of guys that I thought would not travel. That place was packed with cars, 135 cars.
That place was jam-packed. And
with hardly any promotion.
I know. I mean, there were so many people there. I mean, you saw a bunch of modifieds, you saw a bunch of sport mods and factory stocks and everything. I mean, that is a place that is not struggling. And that's when you know that you're doing well, when you don't have to break the bank to – do Facebook. I don't know what they spend, but man, when you're doing that well, you're on to something.
How was the grandstands in that night?
I don't know.
When I looked at it, it was a little spicy, a little sparse in between the seats, but that was also at 11:30 at night too.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I never saw. I never saw what that looked like. But Adam 12 wins in the factory stocks. Chris Morris, G.W. Egbert. That's a pretty good roll call right there. Marcus Harcrow in the iStocks. I mean, when you have those guys that are showing up, you're doing something right. I mean, that's no offense. That's Waco. That's Waco right there. When you get that kind of stuff, and I mean, 133 cars, man, that's damn good. That is damn good.
And a couple of the entry-level classes had quite a few cars, had quite a few of the little, I still call them mini stocks. What are they called? Sport compacts now?
Yeah, I think so.
So it had plenty of those. I mean, I think there was 8 to 10 of those, so that's good to see that class finally getting some stuff. Let's see what else was there. I mean, obviously the factory stock guys are going to be there. The street stocks that came out for the Bubba Wolf Memorial.
Yeah, I can tell you one thing. That I saw there was one hell of a wreck in the factory stocks. Did you see that?
I saw that all over and over. And
oh man,
he's still searching for his door.
Well, it was out there on 290 apparently. Ty Paxson ran over it.
Yeah,
and that's my man Mike Land. And I'll tell you what sucks for that, because I've watched him in Waco a couple of times this year, and that dude has been rock solid there. And for that though, but if you go and watch that, I was trying to pull the video for this, but I couldn't get it put together quick enough. But that car, the body ripped off. I don't know if somebody can tell us here how bad the chassis is on that car, because it took a tumble, and that man, that's people stacking up, and there you go. There's your result.
I mean, it's just hard racing there in the factory stocks. It seemed like an innocent little slide there. He just got caught up in a mess with some, I guess some of the lesser experienced racers, we will say. At least from the ones that I saw. and then just kind of got turned, and it was just one of those perfect storms, if you will. Not that flipping is perfect, but
there's an art to it.
Yeah, it just happened to be the way that he got hit with the momentum and kind of hit that wall and got caught in a rut and just ended up just kind of up and over 2-3 times roughly.
Yeah. And we talked about it last week, or I think we meant to, but we probably didn't dig into it quite as much. But I think this is the year for Cotton Bowl. Because we did. I mean, we were talking about with the summer series, but with a start like that, I mean, that many cars, people want to go run there. And Cotton Bowl, to me, I mean, we're already seeing it. We're seeing a shortage of sport mods. They don't have that problem. We're seeing a shortage of modifieds. They don't have that problem. They've got the compacts. They've got all of that happening there. I think they're onto something right here. I mean, make that an efficient show. I mean, that's the one thing that I got at revvedupsportshow@gmail.com was that maybe the program took a little too long, but that's what they say about NASCAR. So, you know, that's something for them to work on. We're not criticizing. I didn't watch the whole thing. I'm just telling you what they told us. So, I mean, that's something just to put in the memory bank for now.
Well, like Aaron said on the Facebook feed, 6 main classes. I'm not quite sure if that's too many classes, but I guess six is the. I mean, we have that down in Texana. You got big mods, sport mods, factory stocks, E-mods, and pure stocks, and then you got street. They alternate street stocks.
There's too many classes. Yeah. I mean, but that goes back to asphalt days, and you know why that happens? Because everybody wants a place to race, and I applaud the promoters for affording that. I mean, I honestly think, in my opinion, what you're doing is your crowd will get bored. Your crowd will want something. You know, I saw Ron Brown posted on Lone Star Speed Zone. And he was talking about, because he saw the 37 results, and he's talking about, so why are there so many mod classes? And what is a factory B stock versus a factory stock? And why are there only, 14 of these? Anyway, but that's what has to happen, because what the racetracks have to do right now is they have to give people a place to race. And while I'm not the biggest fan of that. I mean, because I can tell you, back in the days of CTS, I was like, we don't need this class, this class, this class, this class, probably about 5 of them. The track owner, promoter, the guy paying the bills is like, I don't care what you think or what you feel we don't need. We've got to give people a place to race.
Well, you got to figure out the most expensive race car on the place, if you're a promoter, is the one sitting in the garage.
In the garage. That's right.
But from your point of view, you've got one sitting in the garage that you can't do shit with because the rules, it doesn't fit any set of rules.
And that's the racer mentality. I mean, you don't want to go run for 10th. I mean, it's one thing to run for 5th. I mean, that's one thing. I'll just say here, let me ring the Russo bell. I'm still a good enough driver that I could probably get to the top 5. But do I want to get there with a mule versus a thoroughbred? Not so much.
That's been a popular phrase. Who was it that said that on one of the NASCAR pre-race shows? You can't win.
I don't know.
Can't win the Kentucky Derby on a donkey.
Well, I don't know. I'm making that up. I mean, I thought I was being original. Probably Kevin Harvick. But that's one of the things right there, because people tell me, why don't you race a dwarf? I'm like, man, that thing is 30 years old, and I want to go out there and race with these dudes. I did watch part of that race from the Cotton Bowl, and I'm like, my car's making money. Yeah, I mean, why don't we do that?
But look at Brad Dixon's right as he chimes in on the Facebook feed. He says he's been doing that for almost 10 years. Put them all together and run and pay him $25,000.
My man.
That works.
My man.
His idea works for what it's worth on that enduro. Does it work every week at a local racetrack? No. Not so much, but his idea works. If you've never been to the Lone Star 600, you got to go. It's still on our bucket list of a race to go. Hell, we're trying to I keep convincing him to try to put a car together for it, but
everybody always wants me to race, and I'm like, guys, I don't. Look, I don't know if we have any coke addicts or heroin addicts or anything that watch this show or listen to this show on the audio feed. You know where I'm coming from, or guys. I don't make light of that, but or guys that have raced and quit, you know You know what happens. It just, Rusty Head messaged me on Friday. He said, I can't wait to see you in Waco on Friday night because bring your shit. I want you to drive that car. That fast-ass car? Are you kidding me? If I drive that?
In Waco? Well, hell, you got Spillman up there to announce for you, so you got nothing to worry about.
Luckily, I couldn't get there on Friday night. But, I mean, Bobby, you know me. If I drive one time, what am I going to do?
Probably go out and try to get you a factory stock.
Exactly. So that's legacy, guys. I appreciate it. No. Right now is not the time. Right now is not the time. I need to help do this. We need to do these shows.
Mm-hmm.
We need to go out and we need to do, race announcing and all of that. We need to build Texas up and the Gulf Coast stuff. That's what we need to be doing right now. I don't need to be racing because if I start racing again, this product is like, you ain't going to be watching this shit on Monday.
I know.
Right?
Everybody
I mean,
get people want me to drive stuff here and there, and I'd like to, and I want to, and I'm like you. I don't like riding around in the back. I'm not used to that.
And the whole thing is, I mean, what I loved about when I got in the dwarf car was that at that point, talking about the NASCAR stuff, everything was equal at that point. And maybe what they're doing now is equal. Hell, I don't know. I don't read the rules or follow any of that anymore because I don't want to know. But what that gave us a chance to do back in those days, we would get in there, tweak those cars around, do the things that made me a better driver, do the things that I could do, learn different things. I posted on Facebook the other night when these guys were bitching about shifting, doing the shifting on the NASCAR race, and they didn't like that. Are you kidding? I learned the art of that thanks to Butch Havelka and the late, great Arden Vickery and the Young brothers and Dwayne Groff and the guys that taught me how to really do that. Man, I gained a second learning how to do that, and that.
Wait, y'all shifted in the dwarf cars? I mean, on starts and restarts, I get it,
dude. I
didn't know y'all did that in the corner.
Here's a secret. When my little number 4 car got really, really fast, 2 things we did with that old car. We changed the wedge up a little bit on the backside for my fat ass. I mean, I'm heavy. My big ass sits on the left side. We changed the wedge up on the other thing, and what I would do is I would hit that shifter. I'm just banging that shifter when I'm driving around the track. Go back and watch those THR videos or CTS videos, and listen when they zero in on the 4 car. That car was always banging the shifter all the time.
I never noticed it.
All the time.
I never know.
And it was funny because I was talking to my dad, we had a conversation after I posted there about the shifting, and he's like, "Are you gonna post on there that lots of times you would shift down on the start and rack the field up because it went?" I'm like, I'm leaving that out.
Yeah, well, I remember some of those.
Oh yeah.
And you weren't the only one.
Yeah.
You weren't the only one that had kind of jackrabbited that kind of.
Yeah. We've got back bumpers of that car that prove that point. But before we get to the guest, a lot of people are talking about all the stuff, all the NASCAR weekend, everything that was going on. Oh. We've got to get the idea on this.
Here we go. Coleman talked about the fact they've been racing each other for a long time. Oh, and there's a punch. Ty Gibbs going after Sam Mayer, and we've got a fight at Martinsville.
He ain't letting him go.
He ain't letting go, they say.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
So what do we think of that, guys? What do we think of that?
I'm surprised at how well Ty Gibbs can throw hands. But the question is about the whole helmet thing. Do you leave your helmet on? Do you take it off? Did he have enough time to take it off? And the more I watch that clip, when he gets posted up by Sam Mayer, gets pushed just that little bit, did he have time to take the helmet off before he started throwing hands? I don't think he had any intentions of taking the helmet off. Because the second he got pushed, but pushed a little bit, he didn't get pushed hard. He got pushed just a little bit. It didn't take long for him to start throwing hands. And boy, he threw some hands, didn't he?
Let me tell you something that I heard our man Kenny Wallace talking about, and I had to really think about this because I posted that take your helmet off, dude. Come on, you're a badass. Take your helmet off. But Kenny Wallace reminded me that being an older racer, one of the things that you were always taught was if you're going to talk shit, don't take your helmet off.
No, you shouldn't.
Yeah, right?
I mean, because then they're going to give a chance to bust your ass.
Yeah, and I mean, that's exactly what happened right there. And, I do have a problem with it that, and I know there's been conversation about this on some of the other platforms, but, I mean, don't go up and run the car into somebody. I mean, you don't need to be doing that. That's the biggest problem that I have with all of that. And the car, that's a big old weapon. I mean, because when I go back to it, I mean, imagine, if Sam Mayer would have taken off his belts, that would have been
loosened up the belts,
up the belts, and that was a crappy thing for the official. You had an official hurt there, and that's not good. That's not good at all.
Yeah, I mean, really. So that race was considerably more enjoyable, despite the fact there was 16 cautions.
Yeah,
that race was a hell of a lot more enjoyable than the shit show on Saturday. But I really think they're onto something about that ride height rule. When the greatest crew chief
did he really say that?
The greatest crew chief in modern times there says that NASCAR turned to shit when they started the no ride height rule, and Clint Boyer lost his mind on that in a good way. He was like, I've been trying to say that forever, and somebody else, they may believe you, they've never believed me. So that was good in terms of, hey, let's wake people up. I think they've let the genie out of the bottle with that. I don't know how you set ride heights, and hell, the car's high enough as it is with this next gen car, as we noticed from when we were looking at them at COTA. But yeah, they I don't know how you get them any higher. But they got to do something. That short track package was horrible. That Xfinity race on Friday was just a hell of a lot better. Not only the wrecks and the cautions and the fight and all that, it was just generally better.
Yeah, but I mean, it was cold. I mean, there was a lot to that, but I mean, it was crazy. But I mean, the thing about it is, we get back to the short track racing, and the thing is, there was showing that is, I mean, you guys tell us. I mean, because everybody gets so pissed off. I mean, things happen. Was that handled in the right way? And I want you parents to tell me this. This is something that I would love to know. All of you parents that have young racers out there, what would you do? Because everybody's saying Joe Gibbs needs to do something here. How would you handle this? I mean, what would you do? I mean, everybody's all over Coach Gibbs, but I mean, you parents and team owners with young kids. I mean, what do? You gonna park them for a week? I mean, I know short track, most of these guys race for free or maybe some fees or whatever. But I mean, everybody's all over Coach Gibbs. I mean, what do we do? I mean, how do we handle this? Because this shit happens here too.
I mean, you just have to let it take its course. I mean, that's all you can do. I mean, he's already shit the bed. I mean, before, because if he wouldn't have roughed up his teammate before and saying that's part of racing, and then when he gets put in the fence the next week, and then says, "Oh yeah, that's part of racing," that's, at that point he's literally done shit the bed. There's nothing else he can do. He made himself look stupid by being able to dish it out but not being able to take it. That's one of the things that I noticed. That's my take on it. As far as Coach Gibbs is going to sit him down. The problem is that Gibbs is who do you sit down? Do you sit down as the team owner, or do you sit down as grandpa?
Well, that's what I'm curious about.
Yeah. I mean, can you do both? Or can you sit down as a coach and coach the kid up? I mean, really, I like I said, how the hell he learned how to throw hands like that, I have no idea.
Yeah, I was
mean,
surprised.
He flung hands like just unbelievably.
I was very surprised that he was able to do that. But we'll get back to that. Let's go to the hotline. I mean, there was a running bet. I got to tell this dude, there was a running bet whether or not we were going to get him live. And here we go to the Lone Star Speed Zone hotline. This is the dude that builds the baddest ass cars and gets in there and races these. And the running joke is won by the Revved Up Sports Show. Justin Whitehead on the hotline. Justin, how we doing, man?
Man, we're doing great. How are y'all?
Doing good, man. How are things in Texarkana, Texas? Isn't that where Smokey and the Bandit? That's where the beer went from. Right?
Yes, right. Sir. We're super busy. We're busy on the motor side and the car building side.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. So, Justin, I want to tell you two things that I always hear about a Justin Whitehead car. Number one, it's super fast. Number two, it is safe as hell. Talk about the safety part when it comes to these race cars.
Man, we've actually added a lot over the last 2 or 3 years. Sadly, things, happen, and it kind of brings light to making those changes. And, we pay attention to a lot of racing, around America. Once we see something kind of happen, we pay attention and we update, accordingly. And it was years ago. I was 14. I actually broke my leg in a race car.
Oh, man.
I spun out, and a guy smoked me in the door. And I never wanted that to happen again, obviously. And we've been fortunate enough so far for nothing serious to happen.
Nice.
So, Justin, how long does that take? Is it one of those things that as a car builder, it's easy to implement a change because you're not you're making lots of chassis over there, but you're not mass producing them. Is it easy to make a running change like that, or is it something that you have to work into the next car?
They come one at a time, really. Most of the time, it's not like we're changing 4 or 5 different things every car. It's usually one thing, and then 10 cars later, we'll add a little something here. It looks like a lot, over a year span, but no, it's pretty easy. We're only about 2 cars a month is all we're capable of putting out to begin with, so it's not not that big a deal at all.
Yeah. So we always ask the guys that build them and race them. So for you, Justin, what's more gratifying when you win a race or when you have guys kicking ass all over the place in one of your rides?
Man, you'd have got a different answer 5-6 years ago. As I've getting older, the building side has become a lot more gratifying. We're not racing near as much as we used to and traveling around like we really did once before. Now my racing in general scattered. You never really know what I'm going to be racing the next weekend. So yeah, I love helping everybody as much as I can, to get up front.
Yeah.
So that kind of takes away. So how did you get involved in this whole deal? You said you were racing when you were 14. I mean, how far back do you go before you started? I mean, obviously, I guess you were racing first and then decided to build a better mousetrap and started building your own cars. And other people were like, hell yeah, I want one of those.
What really happened is I'm a fairly impatient person. And around here, there was no option to buy cars.
Yeah.
So I mean, there was no guy you took it down the road to get a body built. There was nobody when I started building them when I was like 20, 21, and so I finally just decided to build my own. And then one year we decided, hey, we're just going to travel and try to sell race cars. And next thing I know, Bubba and Daniel Jones, the promoters over at Sabine Motor Speedway in Manning, they both ordered a car, and I have not stopped since. That was probably July of 2012ish.
Damn.
I hadn't had a time where I hadn't had a car ordered since then, thankfully.
Man,
we're super blessed.
Did not realize it'd been that long. Man, that is crazy.
Yeah, man, you telling me? I look at some of these checks on the wall, I'm like, shit, that felt like last week.
Justin, so tell me, dude, we debate this shit all the time on this show. These factory stocks. I know the fascination. It's a big money. I love these cars. I mean, I grew up driving shit like that. When I was a kid. What the hell is it about this that it gives everybody such a hard on to want to ride one of these things around the racetrack?
I think the biggest deal is the tire program. I mean, you're talking thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars less than any other class.
Mm-hmm.
Because, to run any other program, you're 30 to 40 tires deep, and nowadays you're $150 tire, $160 tire. You can damn near race all year on a factory stock on $1,000 worth of tires, and that's if you're being super greedy with the amount of tires you use. We run ours quite some time before we even change them, so the tire bill, I think, is most of it, but the big money is also the other part of it. You can go. I think last year, I bet there was 7 races that were over $5,000 within probably 4 hours of me.
It's crazy.
5 hours of me. That's a lot of it too.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about the evolution of these factory stocks. Obviously, they started out considerably more stock than they are now. And now they're showpieces, man. They started the year before I started racing. I started in 04, and the class actually started in 03. In 04, my car had the shifter in the column. I used the gas pedal, the stock wire, and everything. Everything was in stock location. Our rear ends weren't locked. We wasn't allowed racing springs, wasn't allowed racing shocks. I mean, you can kind of tell obviously where that headed. Right. I kind of catch some blame here and there for some of those rule changes, but I just exploited
the rule changes as much as I could, and then it just kind of grew from there. Really.
Gray area, my man. The
Every-
gray
It was-
area. That's
The very bad thing is the very first 5,000 to win race was on those. I mean, I had a stock shifter in my car the very first 5,000 to win race. So I mean, we were racing $1,500 cars for $5,000 then.
wow.
It was fantastic.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Then now, not so much the case.
So how is this? How is this class? I mean, because the thing is, when people go to the dirt track, I mean, they want to see one of two things. They want to see badass stock cars or badass modifieds. We were talking about that a while ago. You got modifieds, you got sport mods, limited modifieds, whatever the hell you want to call them, IMCA stock cars, whatever. How much is this, the factory stock, maybe hurting the sport mod? Them kind of being in line maybe a little bit.
I really don't. I mean, you kind of. It's hard to explain. You got to have a stock car in you to enjoy a factory stock.
Mm.
You got to like fenders, and you got to like working under a car. And there's just two different type of drivers to begin with, or hell, crew people for that matter. That don't want to work on a factory stock. And like I said, if you're okay with that tire bill, that's really the only difference in money anymore is the tire bill. And I don't feel like it's really about our tracks around here. They're about the same, honestly, now as far as car count goes for factory and limited. So it's not too bad at all.
That's a good thing.
So let's talk about we love how every car builder is colorblind because they all see gray areas, and we talked about the evolution.
Yeah.
We
Favorite
talked
color
about
is gray.
That's right. Well, favorite color is green of every car builder, but they're all colorblind. But talk about racing itself in general. Was Arclitex is the main one that kind of started these factory stock rules, and it kind of just exploded everywhere else. But the evolution of dirt track racing, have you seen it in a different view from building the cars, or is it steadily just getting bigger and better, or is it about to be too big and explode?
I've unfortunately seen it all. I promote a race once a year. Go ahead and plug that in. July 14th through the 16th.
Bring it on.
5,000 to win.
Tell us where.
Factory stocks and limited modifieds at Architect Speedway. I've been doing that since I think 2014, and it's honestly really given me a whole different perspective on racing. If every driver could see all the sides like that, it would sure help racing a lot. They would stop bitching about the little mistakes here and there every time. Track can't see it all. We can't see it all.
Yeah.
I watch every lap I can at my race and try to help, make the right calls, and it never is somebody always happy at the end of the night. There's always a problem. And yes, the economy is not helping anything as far as racing goes, but I feel like it's doing very well for what we're all dealing with right now. So I'm hoping it can stay this strong.
Yeah, that's right. Every time that we get on here, I mean, talk about some of your customers with the Outlaw race cars. I mean, obviously you drive the shit out of them, but I mean, talk about some of the badasses that you have in your equipment all across the country, not just here in Texas.
Man, I've been super fortunate with drivers. Neil Kemp obviously is one of them. He's a real good friend of mine. I'm half partners in him with the whole Club 20 deal also, and it is he's doing it. Hell, he's run I think 8 races this year and already won 6.
Damn.
He's really. I'm almost got mine done, and he's got me questioning finishing that sucker. The second ain't looking too good. But we got another young one. Cameron Starry has got one now in South Texas. He is running very well. I think he's finished 1 race so far. He's been running over random objects on the racetrack, I think, and leaving with flats. And but he's been running up front and doing very, very, very well. We're excited for that. Caden Honeycutt is in one of my older cars. I don't think he's lost a race yet. I think he's 7 for 7.
7 in a row.
He is super, super, super fast. I watch his mini. I have a Race on Texas account and pretty much every account you can possibly imagine. I try to keep tabs on as many people as I can and help them as much as I can because video evidence of watching a race car helps a lot as far as tech help goes.
Yeah, it does.
He keeps stealing my turn. I was going to ask you about the tech help. Is that one of those things that you look forward to doing? Because obviously, if your cars are kicking ass, more people want cars. But you got to understand what the cars are doing to be able to help. Sometimes it's a driver. You may say, "Hey, stop this."
As long as the driver is okay with accepting that some of it's him. It happens, and I've got guys that are okay with it, and I headbutt sometimes, but it ain't always the driver. But a lot of them are very, very, very understanding and will send me videos and, et cetera. Because there's a lot of people that they have ran stock cars in the past, but they had headers and motors and they had 200 less horsepower. And I don't think people really have a grasp for how different factory stock racing is. And it's a real hard adjustment for a lot of them. But we're trying to help them ease into it as much as possible.
Yeah. Of all the places that you get to race, I saw you were at I-30 this weekend. I mean, of all the places you get to race, when you're behind the wheel, is there a favorite? Is there one that?
Oh man, you gonna do that to me?
We're gonna piss off the promoters everywhere.
I do have a favorite. I have a top 3, but I do have a favorite, and that is going to be Southern Oklahoma Speedway.
Nice.
It is my favorite. But as you will learn, race car drivers will also base their favorite racetrack off their results as well.
That's exactly right.
John does a very, very good job over there, man. It's always an easy trip. People are just so nice. The track's always racy. Maybe on a big race it'll lock up, but hell, what racetrack won't? If there's 200 cars in the pits, but he most definitely takes the cake. And then Arklatex and honestly Super Bowl over at Greenville, they're a good close second tie there.
Yeah, I love it.
So we got a picture of a modified up there for you. How does that fit into the whole program up there? I'm probably not watching, but we got one.
Yeah, I drove for Billy White in it'd be all of 2020 and a little bit of 2020 last year, 2021. That was his deal, and I just drove it for him, maintained it, and it actually got sold to a friend of ours in Arkansas, and he continued to allow me to race it. So I'm super fortunate for people to allow me to sit behind the wheel and do what I love.
That's a good thing. Got to ask you before we cut you loose, man, because I know.
Yeah, you're good.
When I messaged you, I said I know you got speed to work on.
Man, I was hoping I had to set an alarm because my sheet metal area of my shop's in the very far corner.
Yeah.
And I got zero service, so I set an alarm and I moved forward and made a phone call. I was like, I got to get out of here.
Dude, that's awesome. So I got to ask you. So let's just say that let's say that I want to outlaw race car. So just a general idea, I would love one, but I can't afford one. But general idea, I mean, what does it cost someone to get into something, the badass race cars that you produce? I mean, just round numbers. You don't have to nail it down.
What stage as far as you're talking about buying? As far as completion, I guess.
Talk about a roller. Let's say I got a motor.
A roller? My rollers are anywhere from 16 to 18. There's some varying, stuff there. Obviously, if you got cores and etc. 18 being the higher end. If you have nothing, if you need me to get everything and you just want to, just pay the money.
Yeah. Yeah. So
yes, sir.
How hard is that? I mean, just because of that. I mean, talking about the origination of the class. I mean, how hard is it for like the guys that have an old stock car, old junker, whatever you want to call it. Man, it makes it tough to compete.
I don't take, and I don't take anything. I mean, if somebody's, I will never come up to somebody and be like, "Man, you're racing a piece of shit. You need to get out. You need to get out of that and get in one of mine." I have never been that guy. I mean, I'm all for it. If you race what you got and just try your heart. I mean, there is old cars still, and like I said, Honeycuts. Yeah, that's a 17 model. I mean, that's a 5-year-old car we built. So I mean, it is still possible to win in older equipment. So I don't try to sell people that way. I just try to let people buy what they. And you'll never see me on Facebook or anything trying to tell you. There's a group of guys that I build cars with, Laser Race Cars, Justin, I do not know how to say his last name, Gilliard, 2.5 chassis. Yeah. They build some really nice cars, and I just tell people to choose somebody they like and, get somebody you think you're going to get good tech help with and good safe cars. Yeah. And just choose somebody. There's enough race cars to build for everybody to stay busy, so. Yeah. I have never been the one to be, anti.
That's it.
Tell somebody they got junk.
That's it. Main thing is safety. The main thing is safety.
Man, I have told people that they need to get out of their race car before because it's a death trap. Now, I will tell you that in a heartbeat. Yeah. I'm all for that side of racing. Yep. Everybody needs to be safe.
Yep, that's right.
And wear the proper safety equipment.
Mm-hmm. That's it. That's super important. So when are you on the track next, man? What's coming up this weekend? Easter weekend. I see all these people taking off and shit. I'm like, I bet the dirt guys ain't taking off this weekend.
Man, like I said, we're hoping next weekend on our new factory stock. We have the iStock deal, and it's a 3-hour trip anywhere we go with that thing. So I kind of scattering that out a little bit. I honestly was fixing to go to Rocket, and then I read online that they weren't open. So we made Bubba Jones and Daniel Jones, I was telling you about, Sabine, have a race Friday night. I think it's 1,000 to win, factory and limited. So we may try to ease over there and maybe take home some money.
Yeah, might as well. If you're going to go, you might as well take home the money, my brother.
And they're doing a super, super good job over there. They're making that place a lot more racy. They just got it at the end of last year, and they're working their butts off to give everybody else a great place to race at.
Yep, that's what it's all about, my friend.
Yes, sir.
Justin, my brother, thank you for taking the time, and thank you for winning me a couple of bets, because they were like,
heck yeah,
he ain't gonna be on. I said, no, I have faith.
I am a hard person to reach, I have been told.
Man, you messed up. You gave me your number now. I'll blow your ass up,
sir.
man.
Anytime.
You're in trouble,
Anytime.
man. All right, dude. Good luck, man. Keep kicking ass, man.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
You bet. Take care.
Thank you.
You bet. There he is. Now, that's a guy, one of the, when we talk about factory stocks all the time, they're like, Justin Whitehead.
Yep, that's everybody. That's the first one everybody says
all the time. I mean, that's one of the guys right there. And I mean, you can look at. When he talked about Neil Kemp, and I think that Alexander car, I think is one as well. I see Shane checking in there that they won as well. I mean, that's where you can tell the badassness of those race cars right there. But I love what he was talking about, because I love when he said that he's never going to tell somebody that the car's maybe not the best, but he goes back to safety. I mean, that really is the main thing for these cars.
Well, it's any race car, really.
Yeah.
But especially the factory stock, because some of these guys try to take a pure stock and turn it into a factory stock, and we have seen some pure stocks that literally they're not safe. They're not, like, you can look at it. You need a tetanus shot to look at some of these.
Yeah.
And it's a shame on some of the promoters for letting them race like that, but you got to let people race. As long as they have
the
fire
car
suit,
count.
You got to have the car count. We get it. We know.
Well,
no cars, no racetrack. We get it, but sometimes you got to put your foot down and be like, "This thing is too damn old. Put it out to pasture. Let it be yard art. Just get something else."
And that's the thing. I mean, I remember the first stock car that I ever raced at Austin. Full time. I mean, that was a car that somebody bought, and it wound up in my dad's collection. And I mean, that thing was black pipe. I mean, that was not a safe race car. And thank God. I'm good to say that. This is our show. Thank God that I never got drilled in the door like I did down the road when I actually had professionally built race cars, whether it be by my dad or somebody else in Austin, because that thing would have fallen apart. I mean, that was that thing was black pipe. But I'll tell you the coolest part about that old car. That son of a bitch, it was heavy, and it stuck like a magnet because we lowered it way down. And you know why it stuck like a magnet? Because that cage was heavy.
I would say, I bet it was heavy.
That cage was heavy, and it was full of great race car.
Mm-hmm.
But those were the days. But
you could get away with that shit back then. You can't get away with that now.
You could. I mean, you really could. Bill Hite never looked for those things. But anyway, you get to that right there. But I mean, that just, when he threw that number out, when he said 13, 16, I'm like, 100?
Yeah.
But I didn't want to embarrass myself.
Yeah, well, that's cheaper than some we've seen.
I know. I mean, but that's a whole thing. I mean, and that's not to the fault of him. I mean, that's how that class has grown. I mean, that's what it costs right now. And I see that there's a comment right there about Terry James, with Adam Haw winning at the Cotton Bowl, and that was a great race. Mm-hmm. That was a good race.
Good finish to that race.
But I'll tell you one thing for the Justin Whiteheads and all the guys that are building. Distracted there a bit, and all the folks that are building race cars. If you get Terry James to build factory stocks, you got another player with an A in the deal right here.
Well, especially since he's used to building asphalt cars. He built one dirt car so far, and I guess he may have built Sean's street stock. Maybe, and some of the old Novas and stuff that are racing, Terry probably built those, but some of those are old asphalt cars.
Yeah.
But as far as a pure built specific dirt track car, that's the first one that we know of. It probably won't be the last. I'm sure as soon as he took that one off the jig, he popped another one back up on there to try to build another one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He's retired now. He's got plenty of time on his hands.
That's right. Yeah, sure he does. Sure he does. You're never retired. Brandon Guerin coming up here in just a little bit, and that's one of the things, and we'll talk to him about, with the sport mods. And I do love where it's so weird because I always check race results all across the state before we do the show. And it's weird when you look, whether it be, DFW down here over to 105, where you see the trends right there where, and again, Cotton Bowl and Heart of Texas don't hurt in any class. They both do well. By the way, Heart of Texas Speedway, 1,000 to win this weekend for the modifieds.
Oh, wow. That should be a good
100
show.
to start. I mean, that's going to be fun. But
That's right. I keep forgetting it's Easter weekend.
Yeah, it is. And a Sunday night dirt race for the Cup. I mean, that's weird.
Yeah, it's totally weird. It's dirt. Well, running on Easter is one thing, but running on dirt's something else.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
With a sports car.
Yep. Good night at 37. I mean, we can talk about, like I said, I had a message where guys talking about, a man was asking me about why do they have all these different classes? I mean, I don't know. I mean, the bottom line is, I think when it comes down to the dirt tracks, I mean, I think what you have to look at is the total number of cars that you have. I mean, how you break the classes up. I mean, it's confusing. I mean, I know that people don't understand. You get new people that go to the racetrack, and it's the same thing that we always dealt with on the asphalt side. When it came to, well, is that a super stock, or is that an outlaw, or is that a limited late model, whatever. I see that, and I hear that on the dirt side as well, where it's like
too many stock classes.
Right. Too many stock classes, and you said that was a modified, but then you said that was a limited or sport mod. What's the difference? And I'm like, and then to explain the difference, it's like, well, you got to look for this. So it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot for folks to realize what that's all about.
Well, it's part of the difference between when we try to explain Cup cars and Xfinity cars. They look the same. I mean, realistically, they don't. Kind of like a sport mod and a big mod don't look the same anymore.
Just look at the nuts.
Yeah. Well,
it's all about the nuts.
That's right. The big one's right in the center.
5 nuts are better than 1. Well, unless you got one big one.
And so we got, once you see the difference, but it is hard when people come up and try to explain it. Well, this is a factory stock. It has this and this and this, and this is a I stock because it's stock like this and this and this. Well, isn't that the same thing? Stock up or stock A-arms, stock location of the shocks, all that kind of good shit, which is kind of the same. If you describe an I stock and you describe a factory stock, for the most part, they do sound the same.
Yeah, sort of.
A little different.
The funny thing is with the factories, they're still on the stock exhaust, but they're pushing a lot of horsepower. So that's a lot of motor. And I don't know. I mean, the one thing I think that we should have, I wanted to ask Justin about is, I think the difference is, when it comes to shocks and so forth. I mean, that's where these factory shocks really get better. I mean, but asphalt, same thing. I mean, that's what happened with our quote unquote stock classes.
Well, it is. I mean, the problem is that everybody wants to race a class above themselves. That's the problem that we've seen in a lot of different classes is the guys with a pure stock want to have a factory stock. The guys with the factory stocks want to have a late model.
Yeah, that's right.
The guys with the late models want to have a super late model.
Yep.
The guys with the super late models want sprint cars, whatever the case may be. The problem is you always want, racers have a tendency to want what they can't afford.
That's right.
And it's been that way. That's why classes exist. That's why this factory stock class has it's evolved itself and it's rebranded itself through the years. Now, your factory stock is not.
I didn't know it went that far back.
Well, and it was completely different from when it started.
I thought it was like 3 years ago. I didn't realize that.
So when you have it, and we saw it in the asphalt stuff, the guys that had street stock Camaros, yes, the bodies were getting harder to find, but you know what? We want that outlaw body.
Yeah.
So they put it on a street stock. Was it a street stock, a front stub Camaro versus those a real true outlaw? Yeah, they're going to get their asses stomped.
Yep. From the chat, AA, don't worry. I'm checking an extra bag for you, my man. I am taking it. I'm going to go get it and make sure it fits, and I'm doing it. I am doing it for you, my friend, because you're my buddy. That's why I'm going to do that for you.
He's going to want you to race that thing in the main event too.
God. Oh. Let's go to the Lone Star Speed Zone hotline. We're going to talk to another one of our just so many great racers around here, around this area. I've had the privilege the last couple of years to watch this dude just tear it up in the sport mods over or in the Southern Sport Mods over at Heart of Texas Speedway, and he's been on a roll this year. It is Brandon Guerin, driver car number 12. Brandon, how we doing, sir?
How's it going, man?
Man, it is going well. It is going well. Talk about your season starting out, dude. I mean, you've just been kicking everybody's ass out there. It's a great start for you here at Heart of Texas Speedway.
Oh, yes, sir. Yeah, we started off the open night. We kind of had a bad run. Got kind of tore up a little bit and kind of evolved, overcome that, rebuilt the car in a week, and come back and won 3 straight. So it's been good. We ended up third Friday. Starting towards the back, cut us down to 15 laps, but kind of makes it tough when you start in 4th and 5th row to get up there in a short amount of time. But yeah, man, season's been great so far. Can't ask for anything better.
I heard that.
Brandon, it's always funny when you rebuild them after a wreck, they get faster, and you're like, what the hell did I do different? And you don't know when everybody asks you, why is it faster? Why is it faster? But let's talk about how you got involved in this stuff. Obviously, this is not your first rodeo, but talk about like how far back do you go in this wonderful, wonderful, addicting sport we have?
Man, I've been racing for 26 years. I started when I was 8 years old. Yeah, racing go-karts. My dad got me into that. Both my parents have raced for years and years, and my dad actually still has a street stock, so he kind of races every now and then when he wants to. But yeah, man, I've been around it forever. Grew up at the racetrack and got into it with go-karts and got my first stock car when I was 15. And back then you couldn't run IMCA until you were 16, so I kind of had to wait. Kind of practiced a little bit there until I was 16 and started out that, and I've raced pretty much everything but a modified. So I've just been around my family forever and just kind of keep going with it.
Yeah. We always talk to guys when we have them on the show about, especially when they've done it this long. How's it changed? I mean, obviously for money. I mean, money's the number one thing about how it's changed.
Oh,
but
for sure. Yeah.
Your thoughts to watch it evolve this long, man. Our sport is different now.
Oh, it's way different. I mean, back when I first got into this and helping my dad and do all that stuff, we didn't do no scaling and tire prep and tire work, and we did our routine maintenance and checked everything out, and we didn't sand tires. We didn't. We just didn't do all that stuff back then. And now if you are not scaling every week or, doing all your maintenance, tire work, tire prep, whatever you call it, all that stuff, you ain't going to be able to compete. I mean, it's just, and financially, it's insane how much it changed. I mean, now you just open a catalog and buy whatever you need. Back then, my dad always say that they'd go to the wrecking yard or wherever and get parts. If they couldn't find it, they'd build it themselves. Now it's just crazy if you don't have the sponsors or people backing you. I don't see how people do it and are able to compete on a regular basis without having that money behind them, because it's just insane, especially right now. I mean, tires alone are insane right now. So,
yeah. And Brandon,
crazy.
Isn't that the funny thing? Back in the days, if you really had to make a huge purchase, you might have to order it, write a check and wait for UPS. But now it's so easy, man.
Oh, it's seriously open a catalog, any catalog, and you can just find anything you need and everything you need if you got the money to pay for it. So,
yeah.
I mean, it makes it tougher and easier at the same time, because if you don't have the money there to do it, it's kind of hard to do that. But I've been fortunate enough to have great sponsors and people behind us the last few years that have really upped our program and made it a lot easier for us financially to be able to get what we need. And it just makes it a lot better. It's not stressful where you're stressing if you're going to have the money to buy the parts you need and all that. So having those sponsors on board with me have really upped our program the last few years, and I can't thank those guys enough. I mean, I couldn't do what I've done without them. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, Brandon, let's talk about sport mod racing in general. Obviously, Waco and Cotton Bowl don't seem to have the problem with the sport mods. And I don't know if that's because it's the IMCA sanction where you can't change anything on the damn thing, where you got to go by the rules and all that. Now, some of these other unsanctioned tracks, people are saying it's because you got to run this rear end with this transmission and this spoiler and all this other stuff. Where's the pecking order for the sport mods at right now? Is it the IMCA tracks the reason there's still a bunch of sport mods around, or is it really in trouble because a lot of people hopping out of these and trying to get into factory stocks?
I mean, you see a lot of guys, you know, all your modified drivers, sport mod drivers, or whatever, go into factory stock, and I think it's more of I'm not going to say cheaper, but it's, I guess, more affordable in a sense as far as tires go, and you got your stock suspension. You don't have all your stuff you have to really put a lot into as far as like your sport mods and modifieds and stuff like that. But as far as USRA limiteds, I mean, I think it's pretty cool how they went to the transmission and the quick change and all that, as far as making your program easier if you want to go different tracks without changing the whole rear end or transmission or what have you. But I'm not really sure, man, on USRA stuff. And IMCA, it's just, sport mods have always been, the last 4 or 5 years, just huge amount of car count. I mean, it's crazy. And now, here the last few weeks in Waco, it's been fluctuating. We've had 11, 12 cars. The first night, I think we had like 24, 25 cars. And last week we had, 12 cars again. So it's kind of hit or miss. And I don't know right now if it's just a money thing with people. I mean, I really think it is. I mean, because times are tough for a lot of people right now, and it's hard to put that, like I said, without the help behind you. A lot of people don't have the sponsors and stuff to do it with, and that's why I think the car count kind of fluctuates with different tracks and stuff. And like with my situation, I'd love to run 2 nights a week, but having a family and a kid that plays t-ball now and does stuff on Saturdays, it's hard to get everything done and go race on Saturday night too. So I kind of got to pick either or, if I'm going to run Friday or I'm going to go somewhere Saturday. So it's you got to kind of get your priorities straight, I guess. If you want to run two nights a week, I mean, if you can make it happen, I'd love to, honestly. I mean, it is a lot of work and a lot of money to do it. And, Cotton Bowl, it's 2 hours from where I live. So, with diesel prices right now, you're going to use a tank of diesel getting there and back. So it's just, you gotta think, if you really don't get in the top 4 or have a good run, if you're going to be able to even, is it worth the trip? That's my biggest thing right now. I think money is a lot to do with it right now with a lot of different people.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, Garen, because I did want to ask you, because I think one of the things, and luckily for you, it's more of a hometown track. I mean, it's there. What the hell?
Yeah, it takes 15 minutes to get there, so it's like a convenience.
The last 2 years for me, getting to know all the fans in Waco and you guys, the drivers. I mean, that right there, that is what it's all about. I mean, just talk about that whole experience for Heart of Texas Speedway. I mean, that right there, we need a hell of a lot more of that, because that is short track racing at its best.
Yes, sir. And being Waco, it's well known, and everybody's always said if you can win at Waco, you can go win anywhere. I mean, that's how competitive it is in every class. And like I said, I'd love to go different places and race and go travel and do things. But like I said, as far as people having families and doing that stuff, if you got other things going on, it's hard to do that. And we just kind of, a lot of my sponsors can go on Friday nights and sit in the stands and watch, and they can't go on Saturday 2 hours away to watch. So for me, it's to do with the sponsors while I race there, and people that come watch me are able to come watch there and not have to drive 2.5, 3 hours to go check us out. So that's it's a convenience, really. And, being right down the road, it's a lot easier, and it makes it funner to have your whole family there and to be able to do that stuff. But Waco's always been a really tough, fast track, and it's hard. It's hard to compete every week and be on the upper level if you don't stay on top of your stuff. Like I said, you're not going to do any good. And I'm out in the shop right now, so I'm out here every night, man. If you're not, you're gonna fall behind. You got to stay on top of everything.
That's right.
So you got to have a family that understands that this is what you do and this is how it is. If you're not out here, 90% of your races, in my opinion, are won in the shop. I mean, I check everything every week, and I probably go to extremes that other people don't do, but I just make sure everything's top notch, where if I'm not winning or if I'm not doing good, it's not the car, it's me.
Nice. I love that.
Yes, sir.
So we had a car builder on the show right before you got on, and we were talking about tech support and all of that. So when you go to choose a chassis, what from the racer's standpoint, are you looking, or your personal standpoint, are you looking at tech support? Are you looking for how many wins they've got? Are you looking for who has what? You want to do something different than everybody else? What do you look at when you go to determine which chassis you're going to start racing?
I mean, you gotta base it off of wins as well. You know, you got a lot of different chassis companies out there, but as far as how they're built or what design you like or what's comfortable for you, and just hearing good things about Jason Ingalls is why I chose IRP. And obviously he's big in the building world as far as building nice race cars, and tech support is always there with Jason. I can call him anytime, any day, and he's always there with a response or try this, we need to do this. And, I couldn't ask for anything better. I mean, he's been great as far as helping us out and getting our car in the right direction. But yeah, you want to have that tech support behind you. I mean, it's always, it might not be exactly what you wanted to do as far as, what they tell you, but it's good to have those answers there to figure out what you need to do. I mean, that's what I look at as far as productivity and the quality of the car, and just hearing good things about different people, of Jason. The tech support was there. It's kind of why I chose to go with him. And man, I've been great. It really upped our program a bunch since I got an IRP. And I don't know, man. That's just my opinion on it. I mean, the tech support for sure, and then just the quality of the product itself, the race car. I mean, you look at some of these IRPs, and like I said, they're super top-notch cars, and just built very well.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you've got a fine piece that you drive around, because it's a joy to watch what you do out there. I mean, just great drives from the back of the pack and all of that. So one of the questions we get, and I'll ask you this, and I think it's very transparent for people that want to know, because we talk about how expensive it is. We can talk about diesel, to get to and from the track. We've had some folks ask. I mean, and I don't know, because thank goodness I haven't had to buy race fuel lately or tires. What's the price right now for racing fuel and tires for you when you go to the racetrack?
Well, I'll be honest with you. Glenn Wilson with Wilson Chassis is one of my main supporters, my main sponsors, helps me with the car and stuff, and he's a dealer through Day Motorsports, and he keeps fuel and stock and tires. So basically what we do is we get sponsor money at the beginning of the season. My dad's a dealer for All-Star Performance, so he'll get half of the sponsorship money. Wilson gets the other half of the sponsorship money. And the winnings that we win every week goes into the racing fund.
Yeah.
So he has that money on hand, so whenever we need fuel or tires or parts, I don't ever even ask how much it is or whatever. We just get it, and he'll take note of that and write down what we spend and how much it is, and kind of go from there. We use the racing fund as having the fuel and the tires in there. So I mean, honestly, I don't know exactly how much it is right now, but I know it's at least tires probably $40-50 more than what they were, and fuel, I'm guessing, has skyrocketed. So, and we use just on a Friday night, depending on track conditions. If it's a real heavy racetrack, I might not add a lot of fuel, but if it's dry slick, and you're running the car and you need to get more bite in the car, you might dump 5 or 10 more gallons of fuel. So, so you use 10-15 gallons a night. I mean, that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. Just with that, just the tires, the fuel, and just me and my family getting into the track, you're looking at, 100. Say on a good night, you go to the racetrack, you spend $200 getting in the gate. That's your fuel, your food, pit passes. That's before you even unload the car. I mean, so it's tough. Like I said, I don't see how people are doing it right now, man. I mean, without the support behind them, it's really, really tough. Like I said, I'm very fortunate and blessed to have the people on board with my program to be able to do what I do. And like I said, that's how I keep up with everything. We have a racing fund. All the winnings don't get spent on anything else but the race car. Yep. That's how we keep up with it and be able to race week in and week out. And it's made it a lot easier over the last few years anyways, doing it that way. You keep your racing money separate from your family life money or your regular money that you pay your bills with. It goes into a racing fund, and that money's not used for anything but that.
Nice.
That's a good way to make it work. It gets hard, though.
Oh, it's hard, man. It's hard if you don't have anything to start that racing fund with. It's hard to, to keep putting it back in, because if you don't have it there, you have to use your regular money to be able to buy stuff, and that's what makes it tough. I mean,
yeah.
But having the racing fund and sponsorship money to put into a pot and put them back in week to week, and as far as what you need, you don't even have to ask how much it is, just order it, and you start getting low and like, hey, we got this much left in the racing fund, we might want to do something different. So
good stuff.
That's how we do it, man. That's how we keep up with everything. And like I said, Glenn Wilson with Wilson Chassis, he keeps up with he ran the parts trailer out there for probably 40 years at Waco, and not doing that anymore. He kind of sold that to GW Egbert, and I think he actually just sold it recently. So the trailer is still at the track, but Wilson's still selling parts out of his shop here and there. So it's good to have him behind us, because it makes everything a lot easier when we need something. Just call him up and say, hey, man, I need a couple tires, or I need 10 gallons of fuel, or tear-offs, or we just go get, go pick it up. So it makes it a convenience for me. A lot of people don't have that, and I didn't used to have that. You have to call and order, and keep up with everything. And it's made life a lot easier for me. I'll tell you that much.
I bet.
So, Brandon, every hobby's expensive, whether you golf, whether you fish, especially if you race. But how crazy are we that we sit there and try to do this every single weekend? There's not very many off weekends at Waco, and you got to do this every single weekend.
None.
It's tough, man. You got to think sometimes when you have 2, 3, 4 bad weeks in a row, you're like, why in the hell am I still doing this? I'm out here killing myself. Especially summertime, I work out in the shop at 100, 105 degrees, and then you get off work, and you're like, that's the last place I want to go, is out in the damn shop.
Yeah, that's right.
And work all night on the race car. But if you don't do it, you're not gonna be successful in what you're racing. So it's a different mindset you have to be able to do what we do, and it just, you gotta want it bad, and it's an addiction for sure. It's hard to explain if you've never actually drove a car. It's just, there ain't no other feeling like it to me. I mean, I've played sports and baseball and basketball and all that growing up, and done all kinds of stuff, rode dirt bikes, but when I step into a race car, it's a whole different world. You're in the zone. You don't think about nothing else but that, and that's the drive for me. I mean, that's what keeps me going. It's just the mindset where you, like I say, you don't think about nothing else but what you're doing at that moment. And when you go and put it in victory lane, then you realize this is what I've been working my ass off for all week.
That's right.
And it feels good.
That's right. Got to ask you before I cut you loose. I think one of the coolest things for me going to Waco is, I mean, you got guys like yourself, and then you look at the factory stocks and the I stocks and everything, the modifieds. You've got a core group of guys that race there all the time because it's a home track. I mean, it's in a good spot. How cool is it for you guys that, I mean, everybody from around the state comes up and wants to beat you guys? And it seems like to me, most of the time, you hometown guys, Friday Night Lights, you're winning the races. That's got to be pretty cool.
Oh, it is cool, man. And like I said, if people that come to Waco, you want faster guys to come, because if you're winning against the best there is out there, it makes it that much more better. You don't want to go out there and have 10 cars and just have nobody, no big name guys come down that don't want to race, and then the winning feels great. Don't get me wrong there, but when you win on a night where there's 24 cars in a stacked field, it feels that much better to win those races. Knowing, man, there was a lot of fast guys here, and we just kicked their ass. It feels good. So, Waco alone, man, like I said, people that run there and ran there for years and years, it's just a different type of track. You just have to learn it, and it's a challenging track. And over the years, it's changed and it's gotten better, and the surface has changed. I mean, so people that don't race there weekly, it's kind of hard to get that down. I mean, like I said before, anybody has said if you can win at Waco, you can pretty much go anywhere and win.
That's right.
I believe it. I mean, there's some of the best drivers around in all these classes in Waco that are very competitive, and it's hard. It's hard to compete. I mean, last year, me and GW Everett battled out all season. That was the first season I actually, kept up with points and tried to run for points. And
Yep.
we're good friends. We kind of battled it out, and he ended up beating me in points, and it was all good. They helped me a lot on my program too. CRS before Jeffrey Abbey took it over, and Speed Secrets, and they've all helped me. So I can't. It was fun racing with them. I mean, I like the competitiveness and being able to race with my friends, and like I said, this year, me and Michael Dabney are good friends, and we've been competing. The 3 weeks I won in a row, he finished second right behind me, and we've been giving each other hell. It's just fun, man. Like I said, you got to remember why you do this every week. Yes, it's a competitive side, and you want to win, but if you're not having fun doing it, you're in the wrong sport. And if you can't enjoy even working on the car, because you have to enjoy this side of it, because you work on it a lot more than you drive the damn thing.
You got that shit right. You got that shit
So
right.
you got to have the right mindset, man, to be able to just have fun all the way around and just remember why you're doing it, because that's why we do it, is just for fun, because you're definitely not going to make a living off of it, for sure.
So, Brad, I know you were racing on Friday, and I don't know how much you keep up with the big leagues, the NASCAR, the Cup Series, and Xfinity Series and stuff like that. I don't know if you got to catch the fight between Sam Mayer and Ty Gibbs. Racer etiquette.
I saw a piece of that, yeah.
So, what's the proper etiquette as the race car driver? Helmet on or helmet off when you go to throw hands?
I would probably take my helmet off, because I got a big old head anyways. I've been hit in the head a few times, and you got to be able to maneuver a little bit better with your helmet off.
Yeah, that's right.
Like I said, it's hard, man. Like I said, you look at stuff like that and laugh, because you're in the race car and your tempers just flare. I can't explain that either. It's just, when stuff happens, it's such a passion we have in these cars, and all the time and money you put into this thing. So I see fights like that and people getting crazy, because I've done it myself, and it's just,
oh yeah,
that's people that are that passionate about what they do, and all the time, and you get your stuff tore up, or you get wrecked or crash, and you just finally have enough and you lose your cool. But yeah, I'm more of a helmet off kind of guy, so I can be able to maneuver and do what I need to do.
This is where we needed to talk to Shannon Dulock and see what see what he thinks. See what he thinks.
Yeah, I actually work with Shannon. He works same company I do. So
nice.
I've raced with him many years as well, through
I know
hobby stock days and all that stuff. My dad, raced with him years ago, street stock days. So he's been around a while too. So we've had our run-ins too. But like I said, everybody's going to sooner or later when you race each other in and out every single week.
Yeah,
it gets you're gonna have contact. You're gonna rub. You're gonna get your feelings hurt. But at the end of the day, you got to remember why you do it. It's all for fun.
That's right. It's all about the love, my man. Pleasure to watch you every Friday night that I get to be there. I'll be there Friday night, hopefully calling you to another win, dude. So,
that would be great, man. It's redraw night. I think we're running first. So not my perfect track conditions. I like a good dry slick track, top to bottom.
Yep.
Where it's more driving the car than these hammer down tracks. It's just so hard on equipment, and it seems like it makes everybody that much faster, and it's hard to pass. So
yeah.
But we'll be first Friday at straw redraw, so hopefully my little boy can draw me a good number and put us up on a front row starting spot, and we go from there.
Yeah, that's it. Good stuff. I think I'm going to be solo that night, so I'll see you in O'Reilly Auto Parts Victory Lane once again.
Yes, sir. That sounds good to me.
All right, my brother. Thanks for taking the time. Great insight, dude. We'll see you this weekend.
All right, thanks, guys. Y'all have a good one.
You got it, man. Take care.
All right, see you.
You bet. There he is, Brandon Guerin. Man, I didn't know he had been around that long. I mean, the dude kills it out there. And again, I mean, Waco, they do such a great job, just such a great job with I mean, it's always competitive. And I think that is the appeal there of Waco, is that people want to come in and knock those guys off. We remember last year, with all the factory stock power rankings. Are we doing that this year?
It's something similar, but not the exact same stuff.
Okay. Well,
I think it's that ACS deal.
but it always centered around Waco. And it's like, why does that happen? Well, because they race every week, for one thing, for crying out loud. And that's where all the great racers are. And I love what he said right there. Kind of like what they always said about Speedorama and Longhorn. You want to go beat the best. If you can race at Waco, you're going to be good. And that's a cool thing there. That's great conversation.
Well, another thing we noticed too about Waco, and you see it more than I do, but the thing I've noticed about Waco is that a lot of people with the younger kids have found a way to do all their racing stuff on a Friday night and get to do the stuff with the kids on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
The Waco gets done at a fairly decent hour most nights.
Yeah.
And so you go home. It doesn't make for an early morning, but yeah, you don't miss the soccer games.
Yeah, that's
you
right.
don't miss the t-ball games. You
Church.
don't miss the baseball games, stuff like that.
Church.
So I've noticed that
Church.
that's on Sunday. We're talking about Saturday.
Oh, Saturday. I'm all thrown off. Sorry.
Now
I'm thinking about all the other tracks
do that all the track.
that race too late.
Yeah. And we're way too late. Whether there's
another
whether
story.
there's a flip or not.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes these classes run too late. But I think
Not
that,
picking on that track. I know some of the other ones were late too.
well,
Milton was at the Buc-ee's. I think it was
12:30, 1 o'clock. He had a UTSA softball game to call at like noon.
yikes.
I wonder if I need to message him. I wonder if he's going to go to the spring game or not.
You should tell him that you can help him out. Rusty, in a fight, that's an interesting question because several times, as a matter of fact, there were a couple of times in my younger days that I don't know if you realize this, but I talk a lot of shit. But I was the guy that you never wanted to go to the party with because I would like, what did Denny Hamlin do? And then luckily, I had a badass looking uncle that wore dark glasses, and my dad, who was a veteran that took no shit from nobody. So I would do things because I had a great backup system. You want to come mess with me? Get through them. There was a time. I gotta tell the story.
Go for it. I think I know the story you're going to tell.
There
too.
was a time, I think in 2000 and let me look over there at the pictures because I can tell you which car it was. 2001. We went to Oktoberfest, and I was not going to beat Marcus Bellino in the. I think we were the Chargers.
Yeah, Chargers.
I was not going to beat him. I was not going to beat Marcus Bellino. He passed me, I think, with about 5 to go, and I was running really well, going to hold on to second, and I got tied up with Jesse Salazar. And so the race ends. We're going to the pits, and I got spun out. Me and Jesse got tied up in turns 3 and 4 at the end of the race. Last lap, we got tied up. Somebody's got to have video of this. And so we get tied up. I threw a block on him, and he never let off, and which he shouldn't have. And so I was pissed, and we had some white dudes that were working with us this weekend, and they were like, we're going to go pick on that team. And I'm like, a good idea. That might not be the best team to mess with because we ain't got enough Mexicans on this team this weekend. It was me, my dad, and Martin, and I'm a lover. I'm not a fighter. So
except for that night.
So we go off and we go marching off and we go to the Salazar pit, and I think we had 5 guys, and they had about 12. That was not good. SAPD came in, and it's like, we're going to load our shit and go to Lockhart. We're done. I don't care who wins the Romco race. So there were lots of occasions. There were lots of occasions that there were miscommunications back in the day. But, I think back to the Austin days. I mean, there's a lot of guys that probably will not admit this on here, that maybe they got tied up with people and would talk some shit, and they probably got bitch slapped. And it was like, okay, we done.
I got to happen to me with a teammate.
Oh, shit.
I got into it with somebody on the racetrack, and I came and had a flat, and I was just, because I had to pull into the TBS pits. I was pissed off. I was yelling. I was kicking. I was screaming. And Brungott, of all people, I don't remember what he had. I don't know if it was a wrench, I don't think it was a solid fist. Whatever it was, he reached up and knocked me upside the helmet with that, whatever the hell it was. And he's like, shut up. We changed your tire. Now get your ass back out there and go race. And I did. But I was pissed. And yeah, I've gotten cold cocked by my own teammate with the TBS race, and Aaron Brun got knocked shit out of me upside the head with something. So.
Yeah, and there were several times to where it would happen, and the racers thought process with all of this, and we're watching this again where you don't forget. I mean, you don't forget, and we all take each other out, and that's the funny thing about it to me, where after all this time, of the years of driving and mending fences with a lot of different people, is where you can sit in a parking lot and go back and think about this stuff, and you rehash those memories, and it's like, yeah, I remember that, and I don't know, there's so many times it's the emotions of the sport, and that's where I just love what we do, because it's different. I mean, there's nothing like what we do, and you can hate each other one day, and then it comes back to it, and somebody that you got tied up with, they're going to lend you a part and put you back on the track when you're trying to be in the top 5 of points, and you need a upper control arm. Maybe I'm talking from experience, and somebody that you had like stuck in the fence or over the hill, they're going to give you something that you need, and that's the beauty of what we do. I just love the sport, and that's. Was that uncalled for? I mean, the whole helmet thing. Whatever. Let's go back. Really look at this thing. It's a couple of young dudes that were going at it. I think I talked about this on Saturday. Old dudes are going to either not do that or take the helmets off and go fight in the parking lot. That's what's going to happen with that.
The commentary from the two drivers, Austin Dillon and Eric Jones, was great. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah. It's a good thing.
He won't let him go.
Yeah, and I think the bad thing was, for NASCAR, where they maybe lost out on that, and I saw somebody who was posting on one of the Twitter sites where it's like, well, Will Smith was banned for 10 years for the Oscar thing. That guy, not even a NASCAR fan.
Yeah.
That guy didn't say which one. That guy should be banned for 10 years.
Oh, shit.
I'm like, shit. When he comes back, he'll be in his prime.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, man.
Not the same thing. Is that what they finally did with Will Smith?
Yeah, 10
years.
10-year ban from. He can't go there. They didn't throw him out for the trophy, but he's banned from 10 years. He can't go back. So I guess he won't make a movie for 10 years. I don't know.
But they got a bunch of movies that are dropping. Where they decided to postpone production on a couple.
Oh, Lord. Well, Fresh Prince. Parents just don't understand. Go play that. If you have a foul idea of the Fresh Prince, go watch that one, because that's when he was just a young dude.
West Philadelphia, born and raised.
That explains it. No offense to the guys up north. You damn Eagle fans. You Philadelphia Eagle fans, you're horrible.
Got in one little fight and my mom got scared.
Mike.
I moved with my uncle and my aunt in Bel Air.
Mike, yes, we do. Send a bill. Seriously. Not to go off the thing and here do Tradio and all that, but please send a bill. Because it we appreciate that, and that was a big old excitement thing right there. But let us know how to pay for that, because we appreciate that, and I know that time is money and effort is money, and all of that. So let us know how we can do that.
And feel free to put a big one on the car. We'll work something out on that too.
Absolutely, really good stuff right there. But great program, and man. We talked to Justin Whitehead.
We finally got him.
Can you
Nailed him
believe
down.
That? I saw Adam Hodges check in right here. Adam 12, you are the man, my brother. Way to go and win that race. I know you had the incident back with the tech thing. Jack gotcha. But, man, you come back and you sweep the night, and that's really cool, because Adam 12 is one of those dudes. I love that he jumps in here, and Adam 12 is one of those guys we talk about. All the guys, not to compare him to Larson, but kind of. Adam 12 seems to be able to drive whatever the hell you put him on.
Mm-hmm. He likes some dry slick tracks, too.
Yeah, he does. Really good night, and congratulations to Cotton Bowl. I know that we've talked about whatever. Maybe it runs late. They all run late at some point. They
Mhm.
all run late at some point. But for CBS, 133 cars. That's a pretty damn good opening night.
That's a really good opening night. Look forward to good things for Cotton Bowl in 2022.
Yeah. Yep. Going to be a great season for them. So who's racing this weekend?
The race
Besides
ranch,
Waco.
the race ranch has got the biggest egg hunt in Corpus Christi coming up on Saturday night.
The race ranch.
Other than that, I don't think so. I think that's it. I don't think 37's racing or anything else. I'm sure we'll find out if we miss somebody. But
yeah. We're down to I think just the Friday race there at Heart of Texas, because they've got the Lone Star Dwarf cars coming in, and then as well $1,000 to win for the modifieds. Boys, bring your modifieds on up there. That's going to be fun. $100 to start. Justin Whitehead, Brandon Garrett. Pretty damn good lineup right there. Who says we don't talk dirt?
we always talk dirt on this show.
We talk shit and dirt.
That's right.
And some pavement. All of that.
And you talk dirty air at least once a week.
Dirty. We get dirty. Good air is good. Dirty air is better. That's Wednesday. But anyway, great show. Thanks for everybody checking in. Bobby, what's on the agenda this week, my man? What's the Easter plans? You're off, or are you going to the?
I'm off on Friday.
You going to Corpus?
No, I'm going to Vegas.
He's like, no. Oh, that's right.
Going to Vegas.
This may be the last time we see him, because he's going to go win a shit ton of money.
I hope so.
And retire.
I hope so.
From this free job that we do.
I'll just invest more into it. Find a way to pay for decals and stuff.
Nice. We're done. Have a great Easter, everybody. It is #Real Race Talk from Texas. Be well.